We've found the source of EV charging. Now, it's just source EV charging, not the source. This is a new one to us. We've never come to one before. We've got a load of chargers here. And for all you Nissan and other drivers, we've got a CHAdeMO as well. And we've also got a fast charger. The price of that one will stun you. This is Dave Takes It On. I'm Dave. Warm probe banks. For any of you who want to know exactly where we are, look up what 3 words and you'll find out exactly where we are. So what have we got here? Well, really interesting. There's a 150 kilowatt maximum, and this will cover most cars, most EVs on the road today. Very few go above that, and the ones who do, they know who they are. But for me, I'm in the Renault today, the Renault 5. That one tops out below 100, so these are absolutely ample for me. Lovely layout. They've got 2 CCS2 chargers. They're showing green, which would indicate they're both working. And there's a tap screen here, shows you both of them are available. There's also an RFID. So if we're going to charge here, we could try our Electroverse card, which is an RFID. So there's a lot going for them. They're quite neat. They're reminiscent in style, design, to those we saw at Osprey in Queen's Park, Queen's Retail Park in Preston. Those are very, very old ones, but these look in many ways very similar. So it is likely they could be the same manufacturer, although there is no clue whatsoever as to who makes them, because there's no plate on them, there's no designation, there's no power, there's nothing on these chargers which would indicate who it is who makes them. So that's a bit of a pain for us who try to identify these chargers. Now, what I like here is the signage. There's one here, there's one over there indicating EV charging hub. And that's great because it may not be apparent straight away, but you can see these signs from right across. But the information up there is really good. From the charger point of view, they say CCS, CHAdeMO, Type 2. That's pretty much, well, that is every car, every EV on the road today. So that's telling you, if you've got an EV, you can charge here. Tells you there are 11 bays, little slogan, clean, connected communities. Yeah, okay. And it also includes RFID. And RFID is obviously an Electroverse card is an RFID as well. So we'll normally try these to see if it works here. Now, we always get confused. A lot of EV drivers, particularly new ones, get confused with the terminology. This is a fast charger, although it's the slowest charger you're likely to come across out on the public charging networks. Let me just very briefly explain. Fast in the day, this was a fast charger in the very early days, 10 years ago, of EVs. Since then, we've got the faster ones, and they're called rapids. Faster than that, we now go to ultra rapids. And where we go next, when the megawatt chargers come in, I've got no idea. It could be hyper, whatever. So those are ultra rapids. Ultra rapid now starts at about 100, 150 kilowatts, goes up. Rapid is anything up to 100 kilowatts. DC, these are AC, alternating current, and these are rated at 22 kilowatts maximum. Some of them are down at 11 kilowatts. So here, you'll notice one thing immediately, no cables on it. This is what your cable in the boot when you get your first EV is designed for. One end will fit in there, one end will fit in your car. So these are bring your own cables. The advantage of these normally is if you're going to be here 3 or 4 hours and your car can charge at 22 kilowatts, these give a fairly hefty charge while you're shopping. And normally they are very, very much cheaper than those. Here, really weird, these also are 78 pence. Exactly the same price as the Ultra Rapids 10 feet away. So I cannot see any purpose for this charger. Now, some of the observant ones amongst you will notice we've just been iced. There's a car park here, dozens of car parking spaces. It's not packed by any means, but some idiot in a diesel, it's a Mercedes diesel 180D, I think, and it's just parked straight in one of the charging bays. What is the mentality of someone who does that? A lot of viewers ask me, would I go and park in a petrol station and block a pump? And to me, that's just absolute lunacy. I wouldn't even consider doing that. But some of these petrol car, diesel car drivers think, oh, it's a bit of fun, we'll park in an EV bay. Yeah, okay. What is the mentality of people who do that? Now, in addition to CCS2 and the fast chargers, here we have the driver coming back. It's a lady, and she was obviously parking there because it's the nearest vacant charger to Greg's, which is her target. Okay, luckily she's only going to be here a few seconds and then she'll be going, but yeah, okay. Anyway, back to the subject. This is a CHAdeMO charger. I get berated by viewers who say I'm ignoring CHAdeMO owners, mainly Nissan Leafs, some other Japanese ones as well. This location has, it has 10 bays, dual bays here, 150 kilowatt max, so one assumes it's shared power, but they've got the CHAdeMO charger as well. Just the one, and this is a common thing we're spotting now. They don't any longer fit every other one as a CHAdeMO, which they used to a few years ago. They're now in a typical location, just giving one token CHAdeMO charger. But because it's a dedicated bay, it's got its own bay, this can't be used by a CCS2 using that charger, or at least it shouldn't be. They are distinctive. So if you've got a CHAdeMO, this bay should always be available apart from CHAdeMO drivers. Okay, so where are we? Well, signs up there. This is Bolton Gate Retail Park, and we're right in the centre of Bolton, Lancashire. And if you haven't got enough here, there's another retail park bang on next door. But don't expect to be able to walk through because these seem to be in a bit of competition with each other, and you might have to go right the way round to get through. Anyway, what have they got here? Well, there's obviously Dunelm Food Warehouse, Benson Beds, Renfrew Kitchens, and there's a Costa and a Greggs here. So this is a sort of smaller retail park. The one opposite would appear to be a bit bigger, but has different set of shops. So a little bit of competition doesn't do anyone any harm. Now, it might be purely coincidence, but when we arrived here, just before we started filming, we had a Porsche Taycan Turbo. How do you put a turbo on an electric vehicle? Anyway, not a cheap car. There was a white Ford Mustang Mach-E GT, not a cheap car. And there is currently a blue Mach-E GT, not a cheap car either. So, at 78 pence, is it a case that the convenience of having the Greggs or the Costa here outweighing the fact that these are 78 pence when within a mile of here you can get very much cheaper chargers? Just a question. But of course, we don't like making assumptions here. So you know me, I'll go and talk to anyone. When the blue car pulled in, I just went and had a quick chat with them. Pouring rain, so it didn't have very long. But it turns out they don't live locally. So this is just a charging location. And the sole reason for parking here and charging here was the Costa. So as I said, while they're in the nice warm, I'm out here in the freezing cold rain. But is that a case of EV drivers do not choose their charger location based on price or value or anything like that? It's purely on convenience. If they're going to a McDonald's, will they charge at an Instavolt at 89p because, hey, it's out there, and while I'm stuffing Happy Meals into my kids, I may as well plug in outside and blow the price because it's costing me a fortune to feed the kids. Or here, well, blow the price, I'm paying a fortune for a cup of coffee here. Well, it's about £6 now or something crazy. I'll just plug in here. It doesn't matter. Don't even check the price. I will just plug in here because there are chargers here. And we see this all over the place. We were in Preston a little while back with Eon Drive, and they were the same. It seems to be, for EV drivers, the convenience and facilities much more important than the actual price. And that could explain why when we were down in Shrewsbury interviewing a nice young lady, she said she was charging that 84p because she likes the chargers. Now we're looking at the competition. Where else could you charge around here? Now I have to say, within a half-mile walking distance, there's nothing else to beat this. It has the facilities, the Greggs and the Costa. So if that's your purpose of the visit, you are pretty much stuck with these. But If you're not coming here for the Costa, that's just a byproduct of your charging here. Where else could you charge? Well, very close to here, we've actually got a Porsche garage which has its own chargers for Porsche drivers. And we saw a Porsche Taycan Turbo here when we first arrived. Just a little bit further away, but we're still only talking about a mile and a half, something like that. We've got a Zest charger. We've filmed here before, 12 chargers, 120, 160 kilowatts, right in the centre of Bolton, and they are priced at 65p. These, to remind you, are 78p. That's huge. But a little bit further away, less than 2 miles though, we've got an Arnold Clark. And Arnold Clark, viewers will remember, they only charge 55p at all of their locations. So just up the road from here is an Arnold Clark. Now, Arnold Clark, by the way, usually have a very nice cafe section of their own. What's going on? Why aren't people heading straight for Arnold Clark, topping up there and then stopping off here? And again, we come back to convenience. That's now 2 trips. So is the convenience factor overriding the economic factor? So what are we actually finding here to try and answer our own question? And that is, its location seems to be the prime driving factor between people charging here and somewhere else. If we look at Instabolt, 89 pence per kilowatt hour, but they plonk them outside McDonald's, fast food places and others, and people will just go, oh, well, I'm feeling the kids, may as well plug in. So that is very important. Dearer than here, so these have a big advantage. We've also got Osprey. They're also 87p now, I think it is, and they plonk themselves outside fast food and fast coffee places. So there seems to be a bit of a market. These are 78p. Back in Leyland, there are eVive chargers there, and they're plonked outside pubs and restaurants. And hi there. Yeah. Okay. And they plonk their chargers outside pubs and restaurants. We covered many of them, and we've interviewed also the CEO and the technical guy. And they are saying that it's the convenience factor. 75p for them is not, it's a little bit cheaper than here, but it's not down at some of the silly prices like Zest at 65p, Arnold Clark at 55. So it seems to be a very, very compelling force which says, while I'm using these facilities, I may as well charge, and I don't even look at the price. Well, I'm going to have to throw this open to the viewers now. Why do you come to places like this, if you do, and charge at 78 pence when you could go just down the road and charge for 55 pence? They do have coffee and biscuit facilities at Arnold Clark, so it's not exactly a Costa, but it's a cheap coffee while your car's charging. So what is your driving force when you go and charge somewhere? To me, as a Tesla, one of the reasons I got a Tesla, they're really, really cheap to charge wherever you go. I don't really think about it. I know if I find the nearest Tesla, it's going to be probably the cheapest price within a very long distance from that location. Here, there's much more choice, 55p, 65p, 78p, and just up the road, there's a Instavolt as well, 89p. So why do you choose the places that you do choose to charge your car? So thanks very much for watching. Let's get all the comments in, see what's going on. I'm Dave.